Welcome to the High Performance Man podcast. I am your host, John Fayocavitz. On this show, I interview successful men who have built impressive careers and businesses. We have founders, CEOs, senior leaders, and professionals who have operated at a high level for years. We talk about what actually made them successful. The goal is simple: to learn directly from them who have done it so we can apply those insights into our own careers, businesses, and lives and continue raising our own standard of performance. The show is sponsored by Prime Performance Method. The Prime Performance Method is designed specifically for high-performing men who have achieved success in their careers and feel like their body and energy have taken a hit along the way. I help busy professional men regain strength, lose weight, and feel younger within 8 weeks without long workouts, extreme dieting, and disrupting their demanding schedules. If you are a high-performance man who wants to feel as strong and energized as you are successful, message me, John Fayocavitz, on LinkedIn. On today's show, we have Josh Greenbaum, who is founder and advisory CFO of CFO Minded, where he helps business owners navigate their financial landscape. Thank you so much for joining us, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. What's the most important lesson you have learned so far that has helped you become successful in your business?
I love that. I would say the most important lesson is really checking my ego and the willingness to do things top to bottom. And to give a little more context around that, one of the things, and to give let me give some light. So in that, I'm providing bookkeeping up to CFO services. So you have this wide range of ability and skill that we provide. And so in those early days, though professionally speaking, I was quote unquote above the bookkeeping, there's really that ego check and the willingness to do it all. And I think that's a really important skill when building a business.
Okay. So what you're saying is that you don't want to do it all.
In the beginning, I think it's important to do it all and
Okay.
truly learn all the ins and outs before you start scaling and building your team. I think it's a really important thing to, it was an important lesson for me to have that ego check and the willingness to do it all at the beginning.
Great. Okay. So what do you think hinders a lot of men today with reaching their full potential?
It can be a variety of things. Often, there's all of our needs to financially provide for ourselves and our families and loved ones, and that can leave a person stuck in a place where they are. And that's, there's so much from the masculine, the male, of the desire to provide, the need to provide,
Right.
that can become a hurdle. And
Right.
so the thoughtfulness that a man should take into striving towards business is a really delicate path, I believe.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Okay. For most men on their road to business or professional success, other areas of their life get sacrificed. What's been one of the areas of your life that has suffered, if it has, if there's any area, and what steps did you take to make it successful now?
Yeah, very much speaking to the intro that you gave is fitness. Fitness was a really big part of my life. I've done, I believe, 15 marathons, 3 ultra marathons, and an Ironman triathlon.
Wow.
And that was preceding starting my business. And I lost it a bit, and it was never really workaholic kind of a thing. It was that in navigating this landscape of being on your own and not having the rigidity and the boundaries and sort of the infrastructure that would exist in a regular corporate job, that loosey goosey, I don't know when the day starts, and I like to work out in the morning, and I also feel really productive with work in the morning. And that became conflict for me of, do I take that moment of energy and inspiration in work, or do I take that same moment and work out? And I chose the former in the beginning. And as I've scaled up, I'm reintroducing that back into my life. And that is all the difference now.
Okay. So what year did you start your business? How
I
many?
started, I marked at the beginning of 2009, and it's been 17 years.
Wow. Okay. So in the beginning, you started in the mornings doing your business.
Yes.
Okay. And your health. And were you running marathons at that time?
Yeah, I had a little overlap in that moment,
Okay.
and then it started to dwindle off.
Okay. So as you grew in your business, you realized you didn't really see that your health was taking a hit, did you? Or you just, were you getting
No,
lethargic? Were you,
no, because I was also, I was young. I was in my late 20s when I started the business. And so you have that wonderful bridge towards your
right.
mid 30s where, the no harm, no foul in life.
Okay.
And losing that foundation, though, as I moved towards my late 30s into my 40s, that's where it was very noticeable. And the tiredness and the
Yeah.
feeling of lethargic. And then the hardest part is the memories of what you were able to do and the inability and the frustration that you can't execute even at a fraction of that level. And
Right.
back to the humbleness of rebuilding.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So today, then you flipped it around.
Yep.
Okay, now you're going to doing your health thing in the mornings, and then you taking care of your business after that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
How about relationship wise and things like that? Did that ever come into?
Very much. I really wrestled with my this is going back to an earlier comment, but I wrestled with my ability to provide, for myself in those early years. I went all in. And when I started, I went from a corporate job into consulting. And with my very first client, I took a 40% pay cut. And that was not enough
Wow.
to pay rent and the car
Right.
payment and groceries and to date and all those things. And in those early years, it meant liquidating a 401k and all those elements. And though I did date and I did have that as a desire and priority, I definitely had a constant insecurity around that. And it really took a long time for me to feel confident in my footing of the stability of what I created, on it, once it stabilized. I think I fluctuated between a bad year being maybe 80,000 in revenue and a great year being 120,000. So, a wonderful place to be, a hard place to scale from,
Right.
and a hard, hard to kind of figure out how do you navigate that through burnout, through the desire for relationship, all that. So it's all a very dynamic thing. And one of the things that I started to really learn is that I don't believe in this work-life balance thing, that you really need to holistically mush it all together and recognize that life isn't delineating necessarily. And though I do want to work out in the morning, sometimes there's an early morning meeting. I now have clients internationally. And how are you going to find the flexibility and the ebb and flow of all of that and holding that boundary for yourself maybe later in the day to then take care of yourself or relationships or health or whatever it may be?
Right.
And that was really the learning through that period.
So you had to learn how to prioritize at times.
Prioritize and call it a boundary, but stand up for myself and what I needed.
Right. So that healthy balance started. When did you think your healthy balance started to go into effect?
I would say it was probably my early 40s where it really started to come back.
So it
And
took you almost 15, would you say 10 to 15 years
I
to
would
get?
say 10 years of I really burned out with the fitness.
Right.
When you go into those big endurance sports, like so many things,
Uh-huh.
I burned out on it. And to figure out what I wanted my relationship to be with sport and fitness, knowing that I did not want it to be what it originally was a really hard thing to figure out. If you're
Right.
used to going out and maybe running 15 miles on a weekend, and
Right.
now a 3 or 4 mile run makes me happy, then that's a very different container to play with the same activity. And
Right.
so to redefine that and find my happiness within that and find my peace and to embrace health and wellness above high performance was a real big shift in my head.
Right. Wow. Well, that's great. Well, that's probably what absolutely made you successful too.
I think so. I think it's all the same skill set,
You know, that's what the
because
podcast is all about. Is
yeah,
how do we become successful in all areas, not just
right.
in business.
And it's discipline. I mean, it's all
Right.
discipline. And it's knowing I just need to sit for another half hour and hammer out this project and it's done, or hammer out this workout, or
Right.
quite honestly, even I don't want to go for a run right now, but I will go for a walk, and just own it and go for a walk and get
Right.
outside, move your body, do some jumping jacks, whatever it is. But it's that commitment to yourself, and it's a commitment to what you want for your life. And that will mean relationship, health, fitness, business, all
Right.
these components. And the
Right.
only difference I believe of shifting into owning your own business is that all of that becomes very malleable, and you are your own leader. You are your own kind of warrior on this path, and no
Right.
one's telling you what to do.
Okay. That's awesome.
It
So,
is.
question then, do you have, I mean, how do you handle your stressful situations if you have any?
Oh, I mean, it's interesting. When people ask me where my stress level is on a daily basis, if you gave me like the 1 to 10, I usually will say a 5. And then I really think about the nature of the conversations that I'm having with clients
Mhm.
on a daily basis of cash flow panic. How are we going to raise money? Oh my God, where's this going?
Right.
And and it's finding the calm in it. And I, from a professional standpoint, I've built a skill set separate from the financial element, but I've built a skill set to hold space for people and to be the calm in the conversation and to be a supporter. And I love the ability to do that. And that's
Right.
sort of that intangible that comes with business for me.
Right.
And even with that, to know I will perform better at work if I go for a quick run,
Right.
if I take 3 minutes and grab some weights and then come back to my desk.
Right.
That makes me a better performer all the way around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, maybe you answered this question in a little because I'm curious of all the men I talk to. When do you find yourself at peace?
Ooh, that's a great question. I I
Is it running?
enjoy salt. Yeah, a little bit of running. I mean, I honestly, I'll give you, it's a very honest answer, but it feels a little goofy. It's
No.
like the morning coffee. Like I'm a coffee nerd. I have my great expensive grinder. I have my pour over setup that I love to do. And your pour over is only going to go as fast as it wants to go. And I find that moment really relaxing.
Right.
And and second to that, when I need calm and need peace, and perhaps I'm wrestling with something, I always know that a walk is the solution to that. And that even when I'm walking, I will take my phone, I'll leave it in my back pocket because I know that ideas will come to me, and I open my notes app and I'll write a couple words down, and I may not know what they mean, but that is we haven't talked about this, but that is a path that I took that led me to writing a book 5 years ago.
Wow.
And if it's ideas around content, if it's solving client problems of, in my world, how do I want to put a financial model together? How do I want to think about this for a client deliverable? And it's going on a walk when I solve it. It's not sitting at the computer hammering it out.
When I say it and ask that question to all the men that are on my podcast is because you find your peace and the mind is we all know the mind is where everything starts.
Yes.
Okay. And when there's too many things in there, you don't get anything done.
Right.
And when you go to that peaceful situation, a lot of people meditate, a lot of people go into saunas, a lot of morning routine is very, very big.
Yeah.
Okay. Where they just know they're going to have that peaceful hour to themselves. Okay. But walking is so beneficial in so many ways. But the common theme is their mind gets undone.
Yeah.
And things just happen to flow. And like you wrote a book.
Yeah.
Okay. Just be having that kind of thing, you walked and ideas started coming through.
Yeah. One of the things I would love to share a quick story if it's okay. I think
Absolutely.
one of the things that was really interesting for me through this evolution of my business is to give it a business name was starting to really lean in to do branding activities, branding my website. Who am I as a CFO? And what was really interesting about that is that unapologetic permission to be me and to know that I'm not going to be for everyone and to lean into that more and really find the words and really find the brand and really own me is when my business started to scale. And for
Right.
an example of what that looked like, when I started consulting, I went from your typical accounting firm into the music industry. And
Wow.
I started showing up to work in shorts and flip-flops because it didn't matter.
Right.
And that evolved later years. I was at a networking event and I was being referred to as the t-shirt guy. And they paused, and it was my first meeting with a networking group. And they went around the room, and half the people said that they felt way more comfortable with me because I'm not an uptight accountant. And the other half of the room wanted an uptight accountant. And that's great because I owned me. And
Right.
to really bring it back, it can be easy to cater, it can be easy to really want to appease people to win business. And
That's
and
big.
that creative side, I think, is a place that men don't go often and either don't know how to or haven't explored that. But it could be military, it could be your background, it could be a hobby, but to really own who you are will really help niche your customer or client and help scale your business and just own it.
That's great. And you might have answered this last question, but I mean, what piece of advice would you offer other men? I think you went through, on their journey of achieving success, and that's just owning it.
Yeah. That the one piece of advice that I will say 14 times is ask for help. We all have people in our network who are lawyers, who are accountants, who are insurance people, who have owned their own business. And it may not look like what you're doing, and it may be a totally different industry. But I will tell you from 17 years of sitting here that 80% of everyone's business is exactly the same, and 20% is different.
Yeah.
And just ask for help. I just appreciate when someone wants to reach out, when they just give me 15 minutes. I have a couple questions. Where do you start?
Right. And I think one of the attitude a lot of men have is I could do this on my own.
Yeah. And quite frankly, just to speak to like our moment in time, speak
Hmm.
to people. Like don't always rely on ChatGPT and the internet to build
Yeah.
your business plan and find the way. Because I think that camaraderie, it's that piece of when you do start a business, there's that element of loneliness that isn't talked about a lot. That
Right.
you do lose coworkers, you do lose infrastructure and happy hours and all these things.
Right.
And so do lean into people and do
Right.
reach out.
Well, I guess that also brings it to mental health. I
Yes.
mean, that's exactly what that does.
Yeah.
Don't be by yourself. Don't be a loner. Don't be, go out and reach people that you need help that, you got to reach out.
Agreed.
Okay. And that's one of the things. So, well, Josh, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time. Your answers were great and the insights that, my audience is going to find very, very remarkable. Okay. And as a reminder to everyone listening to the show, brought to you by Tribe Performance Method, where I help high performing men rebuild their strength, energy, and confidence without sacrificing their careers. If you're able to feel as strong in your body as you are successful in your business, message me at John Fayocavitz on LinkedIn. Until our next episode, perform strong in all areas of your life. And again, Josh, we want to thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.